Narcissists move on so quickly because they need to prove the problem in the relationship was you and not them, because they need to justify the horrible and evil way they discarded you. They want to prove the problem was you and not them because everybody wants them. Look, they're in a new relationship. Are you? No. They can't be alone. They have fragile egos and they need constant attention and validation. If they're left alone to their own devices, they're stuck with their own self-loathing. They need the attention and admiration of others. Narcissists will fuck who they can. You don't. You can fuck who you want. Remember that. If they got into a new relationship minutes after yours, it's because that person had been there all along. They were being groomed. They were there long before you were discarded. And that narcissist needs to validate the sick and evil way they discarded you.
The more I watch how people live, the more obvious it gets that most of this isn't even real. I don't even argue with people anymore. Most of what they're defending doesn't even exist. The news isn't real. Jobs aren't real. Money isn't real. Politics isn't real. Religion isn't real. Even people don't feel real anymore. When you actually watch how people live, how they talk, how they move through the day, you can see it. Everyone's exhausted. Everyone's distracted. Everyone's repeating things that they didn't come up with themselves. People traded real connection for social media. They prefer comfort over truth. Now they spend their lives feeding systems that they didn't design and don't control. And once you see that, you can't unsee it because it explains almost everything that you're looking at. The media runs fear on a loop and keeps people emotionally reactive instead of aware. Jobs drain people instead of building them, then convince them that being tired is just part of life. Money gets created out of nothing, but somehow controls where people live and how they survive. Politics splits people into divided teams that both lead to being controlled. Religion tells people God is somewhere outside of themselves instead of showing them what's already present within. People scroll more than they feel, post more than they speak, know strangers online better than their own family. Silence makes people uncomfortable. Being alone with their thoughts feels unsafe, so they stay distracted. From where I'm standing, I can see why. Disconnected people are easier to manage, easier to scare, easier to sell to, easier to control. That's why nothing's built to slow you down. That's why everything's built to keep you busy. The system doesn't break when people fight it. That's what it's designed to do, so it keeps working. It only weakens when you stop feeding it. The moment you remember who you are, that's one less person plugged into the system. If this makes sense to you, that's because you're waking up or already reconnected to the true divine essence. Follow this page and send this to someone who's already unplugged too. Once that happens, you don't need to escape anything. You just don't participate in the game the same way anymore.
You weren't born just to clock in, clock out and call it a life. You weren't built just to survive Mondays and live for Fridays. Somewhere along the line, they sold us a lie. That security is better than freedom. That a steady paycheck is safer than a risky dream. That if you follow the rules long enough, you'll be rewarded with a life that you barely recognize. But here's the truth. The rat race doesn't have a finish line. You can run in circles your whole life and never arrive. Freedom isn't given. It's built. It's fought for. It's earned by the ones who dare to question the system and then step outside of it. You weren't born for cages. You were born for empires. Don't let them convince you otherwise. You keep hearing people say the system is broken. It's not broken. It was built this way. Built to keep you tired. Built to keep you distracted. Built to keep you obedient enough to keep running, but too tired to question why. The game isn't rigged by accident. It's designed to make you feel like you're winning while keeping you exactly where they want you. When you wake up to the truth, you have two options. Stay plugged into the game you'll never win, or start building something that they can't control. You weren't born to be a pawn. You were born to be the player. So move accordingly.
What's up? How y'all doing? Y'all bending this reality to your will? Huh? I hope you're trying your best. I hope this realm, this matrix is giving you everything you want. I truly do. We got massive shootings going on. Like 13 people done died. We got artificial intelligence creeping up our asses. We finna not be able to even use the internet eventually if you don't give up your biometric data. There's so many things that's going on. And people is still worrying about shit like this.
Say, I tell them y'all ain't like the Gamma 11s? They sit. Full size rise. Gamma blue, black on black. No shock drop. Sheesh.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Look. Look. Oh. 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 Look, man. Look. 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 Oh. Oh my God. I got him. I got him. Oh, I got him. Look, I got him, y'all. Listen. Oh my God. Oh. Oh my God. Look. Oh, look. I gotta hold her like this. I gotta hold her like this. Look. Oh my God. Look at that. Look at that, baby.
You gotta show them the bottom.
Yeah, show the bottle. Show the bottle.
That's right.
Yeah. Look, I got him. Shout out to Hippie Sports on West Fairview Avenue. I got him. I got him. I got him. Hippie Sports on West Fairview Avenue.
Y'all, this is fucking crazy. Like, I feel like I'm in high school again. Like, this shit don't make no goddamn sense. Like, look at this shit. For some goddamn shoes. Crazy work. And then it curved up there.
Don't push the kids. Push the kids. Oh no, I'm good with you.
Tell me, people are still not worrying about shit like that. Am I tripping? Am I tripping? How do you have artificial intelligence creeping up your ass and you are worrying about some probably $3 shoes that's being made, that's being regurgitated to your psyche? You can sit back and look at the people still fighting over a pair of shoes when we have artificial intelligence. How? That's that. If you, let alone, forget about everything you've probably ever seen. Just right now, take people putting their most valuable thing. Check it out. Hear me out. Analyze this. Their most valuable thing on a pair of $3 shoes. Probably less than that to get made. And you have a alien intelligence that's fenced to rule over your ass. How? Make it make sense. And that's how you know. If you didn't have any green light to wake you up, wake up from that. That's how you know something's this is a program. This matrix, this reality literally have people You watched you ever seen the movie The Matrix, right? You seen the screen and all the green code, the ones and the zeros? They have people coded to put their mind, to put their mind towards shoes. That's how you know those are NPCs in those lines. Their mind have been hijacked over a pair of recycled old shoes. The window of preparedness is closing faster and faster. So fast, the CEOs of these companies that y'all use, they large language models, right? They LLMs. The Amazons, a company like that at the forefront. You think people was getting fired now? In the middle of 2000, probably, I don't know. But they are preparing, even the CEOs know there's going to be massive pushback. That's why they're building bunkers to save themselves. They know, if you haven't watched Idiocracy or Leave the World Behind or Don't Look Up, watch those movies. They put the messages in the film for y'all. So they can never say they didn't warn y'all. Y'all the one went to the movies or set your ass down with your so-called mate that's probably using your ass for whatever, because you know these relationships are transactional as hell. You got people running behind people that think they want them and having their loved ones pass away. Oh, God. You have people running behind people that don't give a shit about them while their relatives, like their father, have passed away. If anything, you should be back with your mother that's having a hard time, about to have surgery. But you're out somewhere else. You should be a damn ashamed of yourself. Anyone that's out there doing that, running behind a so-called lame-ass relationship, when you need to be back with your loved ones. If anything, you got artificial intelligence closing in on your ass. It's not gonna be too soon until you get a message in your email talking about you have been terminated or laid off because what? Artificial intelligence is taking everything. Everything. So you need to get back close to your loved ones, close to your family. Wake the fuck up. I don't understand people. I truly don't. They are blind. Blind. Worrying about some sort of fucking... worrying about some job that will, what? Fire your ass just like that. But you don't want to be back with your loved one that's supposed to have surgery? Down there, the doctors don't even want to work on her because they think she might pass away. But you're chasing a stupid ass job or running behind a dirty, low-life ass bum dude. Ridiculous. You people that do this shit, should be ashamed of yourselves. Luckily, there's real ones like me walking around that still have a working brain that's watching out for the ones that he loves. You people taking this artificial intelligence shit as a joke. When the shit really hits the fan, you're not going to have to worry about robots. Even that's going to be a problem too. But you're going to have to worry about your neighbor trying to rob, kill, your ass. Because they want what you got. Let my boy, AI Grid, take it to y'all.
So AI CEOs have quietly disappeared and we need to talk about it. The British entrepreneur and tech leader, better known as the former founder and CEO of Stability AI, the company behind Stable Diffusion, which is one of the most influential open source AI image generation models. And he made a comment on a podcast, which I think we need to pay attention to, that just kind of glossed over most people's head as not something that was really crazy. But I think this is super, super important. So take a listen to this, and then I'm going to dive into all of those claims and show you guys why this statement is very, very big for 2026.
Avoid a crisis. He estimates this could push unemployment to 20% within 1 to 5 years. I'd be interested to see if you think that that's conservative or on point. Is this kind of looming disruption why the billionaires are building bunkers?
Yes, actually, it's one of the reasons. Generally, it's what they do, but I know a lot of AI CEOs now who've cancelled all public appearances, especially in the wake of Charlie Kirk and things like that. They think that that's going to be the next wave of anti-AI sentiment next year, because next year is the year that AI models go from not being good enough, the dumb member of your team, and again, the people listening to this will be like, yeah, the AI is not good enough. Then overnight, it becomes good enough.
So one of the key things he mentioned was the fact that these AI CEOs have somewhat, quote unquote, disappeared because they're afraid of the backlash. And one of the things that I want to talk about is, firstly, I guess you could talk about is the doomsday scenario. Now, I know it might seem completely speculative on how we would even get there. And of course, there are many issues facing individuals in today's day and age that we should probably focus on. But I think it's something that we do need to take attention to, because all of his statements, I think they're probably going to come truer the more you start to realize where AI is headed. Now, I'm showing you guys this, which is what you can see, Ilya's bunker. And of course, if you aren't familiar with who Ilya Sutskever is, he's a super smart scientist that worked on, the early ChatGPT models. And he, has his own company now, Superintelligence, Safe Superintelligence Inc. And of course, they're valued at, billions of dollars. And now what's interesting is that he said that they are planning for the sense that they need some kind of protection when AGI actually happens. And it does sound like some crazy scenario, like, okay, why would someone who works at OpenAI say that we need a doomsday bunker for when the machines become smarter than man? But this is a real scenario that happens. And trust me, this is probably the lightest issue that I'm going to be discussing in the video. And so what he actually said, which is pretty crazy if you ask me, he said, we're definitely going to build a bunker before we release AGI. And this is what Sutskever said in 2023, months before he would leave the company. And he said, of course, it's going to be optional whether or not you want to get into the bunker. And what's crazy about this is that, he actually left the company OpenAI for a variety of different reasons, but they were basically talking about the fact that, OpenAI are probably going to build AGI and it's going to be unsafe and the world is going to, potentially collapse in, some crazy kind of scenario. And then at the bottom here, you can see it says, there is a large group of people, Ilya believing one of them, who believe that building AGI will bring about a rapture, said one researcher that Hal quotes. And, that's why Ilya Sutskever is building a bunker, because there's probably going to be some kind of rapture style event when AGI does happen. Now, it does sound like crazy, and I know this video is going to come across as crazy, but as you dive into the video, you'll understand that it's not as crazy as it seems, and these claims for 2026 and 2027 are probably going to get more realistic as time goes on. Now, I did some digging, and I found this book, which there was something that Douglas Rushkoff were noting in his book, Artificial Intelligence, and he, this book is called Survival of the Fittest, Escape the Fantasies of Tech Billionaires. And one of the key things that's driving these guys to build bunkers is AI, artificial intelligence is one of these central themes from this book, Survival of the Fittest. And basically, he talks about, the common belief system is that, societal catastrophe is basically inevitable and can be escaped through sufficient money and technology by externalizing the damage of their enterprises onto others. And one of those things is that, they're going to, of course, build bunkers to escape the inevitable collapse when it happens. Now, I'm not fear-mongering when I'm saying this. In an interview, Sam Altman, he was speaking with Theo Von, and they were actually talking about the fact that, like society could eventually collapse. And they were talking about, bunkers and stuff like that. And Sam Altman, if you aren't familiar, he's actually been a doomsday prepper for quite some time. And he talks about the fact that I have underground concrete, heavy reinforcement basements, but I don't have something that I would call a bunker. And, of course, Yvonne said that is basically a bunker dude. So, they were just talking about this and kind of joking about it. But I think it, should be noted that all of these billionaire CEOs are building safe havens away from the eventual release of AGI. Mark Zuckerberg is also building, work on his Koolau Ranch, his sprawling 1,400-acre compound in the Hawaiian state of Kauai as far back as 2014. And once again, this is some bunker. Now, I think it's important to know that this bunker kind of thing is, something that's way, way down the line. But what I should, talk about in this video, and I think, why AI CEOs probably won't be as public as they were in the past, is that AI backlash is getting to a critical point. And I don't think people understand just how bad it has gotten. And I do not think that AI CEOs will continue to be as public as they are in probably 2027, 2028, maybe even towards the tail end of 2026. And this is why Emad Mostaque is basically saying that AI is reaching that tipping point, and this is why AI CEOs are disappearing. So I think what this shows as well, and we don't even have to talk about just Charlie Kirk. There's of course other individuals who have been killed, other billionaires and CEOs who have been killed by individuals from the public. I'm not going to dive into it too much. I don't want the video to get demonetized, but I started to notice a trend. So I went on Twitter and I kind of looked around because I wanted to see exactly what was going on. And it was worse than I thought. Like, AI backlash is getting so bad that I don't want to say that, someone's going to try and harm an, public CEO, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's happened. And I'm not calling for this. Of course, violence is never the answer in my genuine opinion. I think things can be solved through discourse, but look at how bad it has gotten and how bad the public outrage is anytime something AI generated comes upon the feed. I've never seen anything like this. And at first it was, maybe 1 or 2 tweets here and there. But now there is a common consensus, and this is among normal people outside of the AI bubble. So if you're watching this channel, you're not likely to be exposed to the AI hate as much because you're in the AI bubble. You talk to people who use AI on a daily basis. I talk to people who use AI on a daily basis, but people outside of it genuinely hate AI. And this is a wake-up call when speaking to people who aren't as deep in AI as I am. So you can see tweets here. If you just type in FAI, you can see someone saying FAI. Someone said FAI, and I can't state this enough. AI in any creative field. Go F yourself. F Google for pushing this too. F Meta. F this. Enough is enough. And, this just goes on and on. And then, of course, you can see, individuals, humans are piggybacking on this, of course, AI hate wave. You can see that Culture Crave said that this film was willfully made for humans, by humans, screw AI. And of course, people are going to now embrace that. Of course, you can see here is that why is everything AI? Why are adverts now AI? Why do people find AI videos funny? F off, it looks horrible. Someone else said, you know what? FAI, it's greatly raising the cost of electricity. It's tripling the RAM prices, which will now only go higher. It is blowing through the fresh water supply for cooling. The temporary power plants for some of these data centers have built insane amounts of pollution and destroy the local air quality. It is being forced everywhere, costing people jobs, even when it doesn't work. It is straight up trash or makes any sense. We the people are always getting screwed over so the rich can get richer. Like, this is something that just goes on and on and on and on. These things have tons and tons and tons and tons of likes and retweets. I mean, there was even, an AI campaign where someone was trying to promote the AI pendant. And then someone said, pure unadulterated evil, screw this guy, And then, of course, you have here, AI backlash. I'm one of the people that worked on this ad, and this is sarcasm, by the way. So McDonald's, a few days ago, they released an ad that was an AI generated Christmas ad, and the studio behind it was saying that they hardly slept and they used AI to refine the prompts and shots. And people were saying, the prompts that my team actually used were make it funny, make it epic, and make it funnier. And they're basically taking in Mickey that basically just taking extreme sarcasm to the point that AI doesn't nearly take as much time and effort as it would to do a human production. And I mean, I found so many different tweets of people saying, I just want it to go away. I was saying, I hate it. And there are, a lot that I can't find that have millions and millions of tweets. But I think it's getting to a point now where what happens when people hate AI so much that, you know, there is just a public outrage and discourse, what is going to happen to society at the point where society fractures? I do think that billionaires will probably leave the public eye. And I do think that they're probably going to have to change their relationship with AI because it's simply going too far. And I do think that the next phase is going to get worse. And this is the point of the video where I'm showing you guys, this is why things are going to get worse. And this is the AI job section. So we got a tweet from Unusual Wells that says AI and automation could eliminate nearly 100 million jobs in the US over the next decade per the Senate report. Now, I did some research again. I was looking at a Goldman Sachs report and it talks about how employment is contracting in some sectors where anecdotes suggest that AI is substituting for labor. So what we have here is we have, you know, I guess you could, some of this is white collar work, some of this is, you know, entry level jobs, depending on what you call it. But a lot of these, you know, jobs, and I think a lot of these careers and opportunities were good opportunities for individuals to bootstrap themselves and, you know, push themselves up, social mobility, all that kind of stuff, which is, of course, good for the morale and individuals of the economy. But we can see that many of these, you know, careers, ever since the release of ChatGPT, you know, it's been declining pretty steadily. Now, of course, you could make some macroeconomic statements about the fact that the economy has been declining in this area or that area. Certain companies have had to reduce. There was overhiring in 2020 thanks to the pandemic. Of course, those are factors, but I think it would be, you know, very foolish to ignore the fact that AI hasn't played a part in how companies are thinking about their expenses moving forward. And these are just some of the areas where employment may be contracting. And that's only going to further fuel the resentment and anger towards AI, which isn't helpful for anyone. And the report basically talks about, despite the you know, widespread job losses concern, AI adoption is expected to have only a modest and relatively temporary impact on employment levels. I'm not sure I agree with this. I think people have always underestimated AI. And one mistake I'm no longer making is I'm no longer underestimating AI. I think it's better to overestimate AI, and that way you'll be safer because AI has always exceeded our expectations in recent history. Now, Iman Mostak, he dives into this a little bit more, and he talks about the fact that it's probably going to get worse before it gets better.
Every single company in the world that's a knowledge company is going to be asking the same question in a year from now. Do I need that human? And all the liabilities that come with them. When I can hire an AI at pennies that never complains, that gets the work done at a better level than the human. And I can't tell it's not a human on the other side of the screen. And for me, that's a recipe for massive unrest like we've never seen before, because how do you ban that as a government? Should you be banning that as a government? Governments are in a race where they're trying to embrace this technology right now. But the new jobs of the future, if there are new jobs, aren't going to come at that time. Capital itself will disappear. Like, what's the value of a media franchise? It's its network effects and other things like that, when you can create brand new franchises almost on the fly in a year or two. What's the value of a New York taxi medallion when you have Teslas auto driving for a few dollars, you know? And this is why quite bullish blockchain. But at the same time, like, you got this cognitive surplus coming, and I can't see how that's not going to be massively disruptive.
And here we have the Anthropic CEO, who's actually been pretty open and honest about the coming changes in society. Take a listen.
We have a choice here. I'm not saying we're fated for the bad outcomes, but if we don't handle this well, I am worried that that fast growth could be coupled with job displacement for a lot of people, that you could get a much bigger pie, but also that pie could be concentrated more in a smaller number of people, and there could be some people who don't get any. That is my concern. And specifically, if we look at jobs like, as you said, entry-level white-collar work. You know, I think of people who work at law firms, like first-year associates. There's a lot of document review. It's very repetitive, but every example is different. That's something that AI is quite good at. If you think of, you know, first year at, you know, entry-level work at a consulting company, you know, the typical entry-level white-collar work, right? If you think of a lot of kind of entry-level administrative work, right? People who coordinate things, who schedule things, who organize things, who take notes. If you think of entry-level work at a finance company, right? Doing routine analysis of financial documents, right? These are kind of the workhorses of entry-level white-collar labor. And yet there are things that AI is already pretty good at, and AI is rapidly getting better at.
And so when you realize that you've got AI job loss, which is probably going to happen within the next 3 to 5 years on a scale that most people haven't seen yet. We have the fact that people already hate AI because it is, doing a lot of stuff that humans are meant to be doing already. It's, ruining the internet in certain areas and just a variety of different things that I won't need to get into. And you have this societal unrest, and you've got a lot of people who are clearly angry. I think I wouldn't be surprised if many of these AI CEOs start to disappear out of the public eye, because that hate and that sentiment is going to flow somewhere. And honestly, I'm pretty concerned about where society is heading if we don't manage this transition very effectively. I think AI can be a tool for good. I think it can be something that, truly uplifts society. But right now, we're in this fractured state where it's not really being managed well. It's not being, looked into in terms of all the potential unknowns and the effects. I think we do need organizations that can sort of ensure the transition becomes super smooth. And governments are usually pretty slow. So I'm hoping that someone out there decides to, okay, AI is good, but we need to make it great. We can't just have the effects just propagate throughout the economy and society without reining it in. I mean, you've already seen what social media has done to people's mental health and other unintended consequences.
Yes. Do anything else need to be said? The CEOs of these companies know about the human population. Oh, yes, they do. They are preparing, building their own personal bunkers while your bird brain ass worrying about some sort of career that will fire your ass just like that. Worrying about some irrelevant, rehashed ass, ugly ass shoes. I have no sympathy for none of y'all. None of y'all. Y'all in line waiting for some ugly ass shoes? How can your brain be focused on some damn irrelevant shoes when there's an alien artificial intelligence that's among us? How? How, Johnny? It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But one like me will always be real, though. Always be real. Always try to wake the people up. No matter if my videos get 0 likes or get 1,000 likes. And I never hit 1,000 likes on any of my videos. You people better wake up. And wake up quick, because the window is closing. People think when something probably do hit the fan, they're going to just get in their car or hop on a train or jump on an airplane and just try to fly back to their loved ones. No, it's not going to work that way, Johnny. Tiny Tim. It don't work that way, Dorothy. You're not finna just clap your yellow sandals and just be back with your loved ones like that. No. You're going to stay your ass right where you're at. In dirty ass, AIDS infested Atlanta. You better, I am what you call a chosen one. Yes, I am. And the universe knows the ones like me. I don't make content for the ones that don't understand me. I make content for the ones that understand my thoughts, my way of thinking. Things like that. Real deal chosen ones. Ones that retain. No Coomer shit going down here. No giving our life force to something like this. Or a laptop. None of that bullshit. Knowing your value. Knowing what's in your balls. Always retaining your life force energy. Always raising your conscious as high as you can raise it. No matter what. Some is going to wake up. Some may never wake up. They're going to perish away from their families. They're going to perish, never being their best self. Because they know what they did was some bullshit in their reality. This your boy, Monterico, the one with the dopest, freshest, unique name on this platform by far. Fellas, stay retaining. Don't stick your key in everything. And the ladies, not the dirtbag ass bitches. And the ladies, keep your legs closed because there's a lot of coomers out there that just want your sexual energy, that just want what's between your legs. And then they're what? Poof, off in the wind. So don't let your value get too low. Don't get used up, pumped, and dumped like some trash. Know your value. This your boy Monterico. And talk to Mogo. Because they listen. I love y'all. I'm out. Peace.